Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is October the 19th. I'm going to do your Just for Today in a meditation. I am brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D Recovery Services. H.O.O.D is an acronym. It stands for Hope Offered on Demand. And daily, I am creating content for you so you will be able to go to our website or to our app and easily access this information. If you need to reach me, please do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's get into our meditation. I'm looking forward to actually getting it taped. It's been an interesting morning, but when isn't it? October 19th, standing for something. We could feel time, touch reality, and recognize spiritual values long lost to many of us. Basic text, page 88. In our act of addiction, we were prepared to compromise everything we believed in just to get our hands on more drugs. Whether we stole from our families and friends, sold ourselves, or lied to our employers, we were ignoring the values that mattered most to us. Each time we compromised another dearly held belief, another chunk of the mortar holding our characters together fell away. By the time many of us came to our first meeting, nothing was left but the ruin of our former self. We will locate our lost values as we carry out our first honest self-examination. But in order to rebuild our characters, we'll find it necessary to maintain those values, no matter how great the temptation to shove them aside. We will need to be honest, even when we think we could fool everyone by lying. If we ignore our values, we'll discover that the biggest fibs we've told have been the ones we've told ourselves. We don't want to start the demolition of our spirits again after all the work we've put into their restoration. It's essential that we stand for something, or we risk falling for anything. Whatever we find important to us, we honor. Just for today, I stand for something. My strength is the result of living my values. Let's take a moment of silence before we unpack this, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay. I believe that this meditation is a very powerful meditation. I believe that standing for something is important for us to daily examine. Now, we know in the basic text, it does tell us that we no longer have to stand for non-existent virtues. And that's a deep statement. And basically what that means is that we don't have the energy nor the desire or the necessity to try and stand for something that is relevant to another person, situation, circumstance, that we know we have no control over. However, it's not talking about standing for virtues as they apply for ourselves. So let's make that clear. It is cohesive. It's not in any kind of way polar opposites. We're talking about being able to stand for the things that we value, not stand for the things that we think all other people ought to value, right? So if someone is a liar and I value honesty and the truth, I don't have to beat a dead horse with them about why are you lying to me, and you know that I want you to tell me the truth. I value the truth and honesty. Not that we can't make our wishes known, but when we clearly see that that's a value to us and not to them, then we need to question, why are we even interacting with a person? Why are we involved with a person that is a pathological liar? They lie about everything. And that's not who we are. But also to be mindful that there probably was a time we engaged in similar behavior. As this meditation is emphasizing that every time we dropped the ball on something, every time we went against our core values, we allowed another large piece of our character to be broken down, to be torn away. As it puts here, another chunk of mortar holding our characters together fell away. And so we need to be honest about who we are, not so much about who the other person is, to acknowledge that our character defects, a lot of them developed as a direct result of our unwillingness to make better choices. So, as a result of some bad choices that I made, I became fearful that this is a hypothetical situation. I'm sure I can give you a deeper example, but let's rock with this, just this example. As a result of some of the poor choices I made or you made in active addiction, let's just say copping some drugs from some dope dealers. And maybe we receive some credit. And maybe we decided not to pay up. So now we can no longer cop from the same people. We have to go into uncharted waters, per se. We have to cop from someone else. And we know that the people that we owe are 9 times out of 10 going to do us harm the next time they see us. So what that bad decision, that one bad decision of copying and not paying back, or getting credit and not paying back, we were out of character anyway, because we're actively using. But now what happens is that level of dishonesty, that character defect, gives birth to fear. And fear is going to give birth to lying. Okay? So now we're going to have all these other things that we do. It's going to give birth to manipulation at the very least, right? So what happens is that because I did not take care of my core values, I was out of character. Because of that, who I truly am starts to be less and less stable. The foundation of my true character is being chipped away. And now I'm finding myself struggling to get back to my core values. The beautiful thing about the spiritual principles of Narcotics Anonymous is that if you stick with it and you actually do the work, you will find that that foundation is starting to be rebuilt, sometimes without your notice, because now you're establishing a pattern of telling the truth. You're establishing brick on top of brick on top of brick of positive characteristics. You're allowing yourself to be not reinvented, but reestablished into your true identity. Someone that has core values. Most people have core values, but sometimes we ignore them, just like this meditation says, is that in our active addiction, we were prepared to compromise everything. It wasn't that you didn't have core values, but we began to ignore the values that mattered most to us. So they were there, but we had to tuck them away so that we could fix, manage, and control, right? This disease of addiction was running riot, and we had to push our core values out away from us to the back of our brains so that we could actually somewhat feel okay with what we're about to do. But now that you're clean, what is happening is that you're locating your core values. You're locating who you truly are. And your core values are starting to pick up strength. They're starting to become more prevalent in your day-to-day practice. You might have minor relapses with them, but they won't be as long lasting, and you will definitely pay a higher price for them if you don't address them right away. That's the power of the 10th step, right? So today we need to celebrate that we've relocated our lost values, and that during this process of coming to Narcotics Anonymous, we're learning how to be honest individuals. We're learning, even in the face of fear and doubt and fear of the unknown, right? We don't have to be dishonest. We could take a knee, take time to analyze how we want to surrender to the situation without causing harm to ourselves and others. We don't have to be dishonest. We can be honest and say, I need some time to think about that. I will get back to you because I really don't want to make a commitment that I can't live up to. And it sounds really good, but I know a little bit about myself to know that when it comes down to game time, I have a tendency to back out of something, especially if I'm not sure about it. And I just don't want this to be another one of those situations that I let you down. You're way too important to me. My relationship with you is way too important. And my relationship, how I think about myself, my own self-esteem is important to me today. So if you don't mind, I just need a couple days to think about this, and I will get back to you this week and follow through. What happens if at the end of the week or whenever it's time to get back to them, you haven't done it? You've thought about it and you made your decision, but now you're in fear and can't communicate that you don't think that's something that you want to do. It doesn't add up with what you feel is important. That is crunch time. That is where you need to follow through on your commitment to be back in touch with them. And they may be blowing up your phone because they thought maybe get back to them this week meant in 2 days. But in a week's time, you haven't called them back, and it's time for you to follow through. So know the reason why you made your decision. Determine whether or not this is a person that you're willing to disclose to them why you made your decision. Do they deserve that level of explanation? And make the phone call, make the contact, sit down over coffee. Whatever it is, it's going to make you feel better if you actually honor your core values and follow through. If they don't warrant an explanation, just say, I thought about it and it's really not something that I can agree to. I'm so sorry if that hurts you, but I just don't feel I can do that. And if you do that, I guarantee you that we begin to stand for something and not fall for just anything. And people, honestly, they might be upset with you when you start doing this, but as you do it more and more, and you become more and more comfortable with standing for the things that you value, they will begin to respect you and honor and kind of have a knowing about what they can bring to your table and what they cannot. And they start to respect you in a way that makes the relationship a lot easier. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.